we're going to use a vacuum. We're going to use a vacuum. If you haven't installed a vacuum, please get it, grab it. I hope we still have some more on the back. I'm pretty sure from that fall semester, we're going to use the iPad Pros. You can attach the iPad Pro to your computer with a cable. You can use an application, and you can technically paint on the screen. It's almost like a Cintiq. I love it much better than the vacuum in tools, but it's still a great tool. It's a pressure-sensitive tablet. So try using the vacuum today. So we're going to design a tree. We're going to design a few trees, but let's first, I'm going to start with something else. I'm going to create a leaf. Because I wanted to explain something to you about the brush tool. Let me go with that picture. I'm just going to put it into Illustrator. Let's create a random, not random. Let's go to the US letter size document. I'm going to put the image in it. So I'm just simply change the size. And I'm going to create an illustration. I'm going to create a copy of that tree using different tools. The basic tool in Illustrator is a pen tool. I think it's still the best tool for really anything. You have more control over your lines than with any other tools. So let me just create a leaf very quick. Here I did a little bit too much, so I'm going to just close it. I'm going to pick a color. With the picker tool, you can pick colors from basically anywhere on your document. So just pick a color. So I use a pen tool to create a leaf, and now you can go with the pen tool again. You can create each element of the leaf. Let's say I'm going to put that middle part. For the pen tool, I love better the mouse. It's kind of hard to deal with that with the in tools. I'm going to change the interface to painting. So it's going to give you the tools you need to work with the brush tool and the pencil tool, and I'm going to add the pieces. So we already know how to deal with the pen tool. We know, I'm sure all of you have some idea of what you would do to build that leaf. Let's find another tool. Let's try the pencil tool. It's here under the shaper tool. The shaper tool is something I'm planning to talk about maybe next week or the other week, when we're going to learn the pathfinder, because it's a built-in, more intuitive pathfinder tool than the one we have in the Windows. But we gotta go with the pencil tool. So I'm gonna grab just the right side of the window here, that dark gray, and then I can pull it out. So I'm gonna have these tools up here. We're going to play with the pencil tool, smooth tool, path eraser tool, and join tool. Let's see the pencil tool, and this is where I would better use my vacuum, because it's going to following my hand gestures when I'm drawing with the pencil tool. So I'm just going to draw a few lines. And as you see, let's say I'm not going to release. I'm still holding the mouse or the vacuum, and you're going to see the line is not really straight. So when I'm going to release, Illustrator is going to fix it. It has a built-in smooth effect. If you double click on the tool in the toolbar, it's going to give you the options. Pencil options, fidelity. Here you can play. Accurate means it's not doing anything. It's just not going to. So let's say I'm putting a line and it's crooked. It's going to be crooked. If you put the fidelity high, it's just going to be. It's going to be much smoother. But me as an artist, I don't want the computer to change this. I don't like that. I keep it on simple, on 0. Somewhere with some smooth. So I'm going to just erase the lines I have here. And as you see, that if you click on the line and you start changing it, it's going to add to your line. So you can finish later your artwork. It needs a little practice. It's a kind of, it has a way it works, but you can learn. If you click somewhere out, it's just going to draw a new line. So I'm pulling a few lines. And I go back to the options, and you have a few options down here you can change. Fill new pencil strokes. Let's try that. So I'm going to create a fill color to red. I delete that, and when I draw, it's going to fill up my line work with a color. Sometimes it's very useful when you, let's say I'm drawing a bunch of little leaves. It's better if it's already filled up with a color. Let me see what other options we have here, but I'm going to turn it off now. Keep selected. It's very important. If you want to change your line later, because if you turn it off, keep selected, and I'm going to draw, and I want to change my line, it's not going to change it, because it's going to be a brand new line, because it's not selected. You have to select the line, and then you can go with the pencil tool, and then you can modify it. But it's not selected again. So that's why in the options, I would keep on the keep selected, so then you can keep modifying your lines. Close path when ends are within 15 pixels. That is very useful. Where, let's say, I'm drawing, and it's not closing it, right? But if I'm going closer, 15 pixel inside is going to close the line. You see, I'm pulling the line, and when you see that little circle, I haven't touched that start point, but it's already offering me to join. Good. I love that. And that is what you can change here. In the options, you can change that number, but be careful, because if it's too large, then you just pull a line, it's already, and it's going to link it together too quick. All right, so here are the options you can play with. I'm just taking them away. Let's pull a few more lines. Pencil tool. You have the smooth tool, because what you're seeing here is happening. It's going to add, each time you change the direction with the pen, it's going to add anchor points. And it's too many anchor points. It's going to be too many anchor points. So when you're drawing with the pencil tool, you're going to add a lot of extra information to your Illustrator file. So the file is going to be very complicated, complex. Let's see just a comparison. Let's say I'm going to draw a leaf with the pencil tool, and I'm going to do the same with the pen tool. I do the same with the pen tool. I only have 2 anchor points. Look at that. The one I draw with the pencil tool is going to have so many anchor points. It's still extra information. Just keep adding to your file, and think about that. Let's say you create one leaf, and you're going to build a tree, and you're going to have like 200 leaves. It's going to be a large, complex file. So it's very important to keep the number of the anchor points as low as you can. So with the pen tool, you see, I just built something with 2 clicks, and it has only 2 anchor points. The size of the file is less, and the file is easier to work with. But it's cute. Pencil tool, you can draw whatever you want. Let me grab that. I'm going to draw another leaf. Try to do my best. Okay. The next tool here in the bar is, next to the pencil tool, is a smooth tool. So you can smooth out your line. See, slowly, but you can get rid of these anchor points. It's going to smooth out your line. So let's say you have an artwork, you already have the line work. You can smooth it out with the smooth tool. There's another tool here, is the pot eraser tool. It's kind of obvious. You can erase some part of your line work, and then with the join tool you can join it together, but they have to be selected, both of them. So both lines have to be selected, then you can use that join tool. Really? Yeah, it sometimes doesn't work. I'm really not sure why. Okay, join tool. It loves doing that. One more time. And this is a point when I just grab the pen tool and just connect them together. Because I'm really not sure why that join tool not working sometimes. It's just simply not. Maybe it works in the first step. No. Or it have to be close to each other. Yeah, probably it have to be in a certain distance. Honestly, I don't use these tools as much. Yeah, probably it have to be kind of closer. If it's too far, it just simply doesn't work. Okay. Now it works. Nice. But we have a way more interesting tool in Illustrator, is the brush tool. And if you look at it, if you hold down the mouse, please pull up the toolbox. Click on that little far right little dark edge here and just move it somewhere up here. You're going to see we have two different kinds. Let me demonstrate what the difference between the two. And I don't even have to tell you, even with the pencil tool or any other tool, when you're drawing, you can apply brushes. You can change the stroke, so you can change the size, or you can apply brushes. And remember, we had that little library icon down here, and we can have like thousands of different kind of brushes you can apply to your pencil work. Pencil, brush, or pen tool. Let's say I just use a regular pen tool, still can apply the same brushes. So there is really not much difference. Actually, there is zero difference between when you're drawing with a pen tool or you're drawing with the pencil tool. It's just the way you're drawing. The pencil tool is more intuitive. So let's say I need to draw the leaves, and I can trace it much better. Right? With that pen tool, it's gonna take really a long time. It's really going to take a long time. Maybe I just have no more patience, and I'm just going to close it. All right, so that is the pencil tool. You can do it very quick, and you can apply different kind of effects. You can fill it up with colors. Let's see the brush tool. So we have two kind of brush tool here. I'm going to draw a leaf with the reason I'm drawing a leaf, because I was watching a video of a girl, she was painting on YouTube a leaf, and it really makes sense. Paint tool, brush, paint tool. The brush tool is really the same as the pencil tool. Is going to draw whatever you draw, and you have the same kind of options. You can change the fidelity. You can set it up to fill new brush strokes. Keep selected. I would turn on the keep selected, because the brush tool have the same kind of effect. When you finish with a line and you don't like it, let's say you want to make it a little bit wider, you can change your line anytime. Right? So it's never ending. It's like you can keep just adding to it, or you just make it flat. Now it's going crazy, but it's good. Okay. All right. All right. I wanted to add those lines. I wanted to add, you know what? What if I try to create the same kind of leaf? I'm not going to spend a whole day here to drawing a leaf, no worry. I'm just trying to create something valuable. And I still can use the pencil tool tools. Smooth tool is still going to affect your brush, right? You can smooth it out. You can smooth out your line if you have to, or you can just go back with the brush tool and you can keep changing your line work. I'm going to add an extra line here, and I'm going to add a few more here. But just hold on, don't start working on your tree, because for the leaves I'm going to give you a better option. I'm going to give you a better option. So here's a leaf, and if I change to outline view, you're going to see these are separated lines. These are all separated lines. You can group them together, object, group, and then with one click you can select and grab and move. You can change the brush strokes, colors, fill color, stroke color. It's really cool, but these are separate pieces. So it depends on the application, depends on your assignment. If it's okay for you to keep them separate, you can use a regular brush tool, but let me draw the same leaf with a blow brush tool. The blow brush is, let me draw a leaf, let me change to outline. This is what it does. So instead of drawing one line as a brush tool, it's going to draw the contour line. It's drawing the contour line of your line work, and it connects it. Let me keep working on it. I'm keep painting, drawing, adding to it. Maybe I'm wrong, but it illustrates how it melts together your lines. So it's not going to keep the lines separate as the regular brush tool. It's going to melt them together, going to create that nice shape. And when you apply the stroke effects, the line effects, it's not going to be that nice. You know what? Let me just step back a little, try to create a real brush, a real leaf. I'm going to create the same kind of leaf. Now I use the blow brush tool, and I'm trying to apply the stroke effects. First of all, if you want to fill it up, it's going to only fill up the space what the brush created. So you can't fill up the space behind it. You have to have another shape to put it behind, and fill up with a color. But you can keep changing it. You can keep adding to it. Bless you. So each time you're drawing, you're adding to your shape. Technically, you paint a shape. It's painting a shape. It's not a line really, right? The shape is a form is surrounded with the line. And when you apply the stroke effect, it's going to be a kind of mess. It's not going to look that perfect. It's different. It depends on what is your objective. If you just have to create a shape and you think it's easier to paint it with a blow brush tool and you're just painting unless that turns out the shape you want, keep filling up, filling up, filling up. You can add to it. You can change the brush stroke. You can change it bigger. All right, let me see. I'm done with it. It is the same line you can create with a pencil tool with the brush tool or even with a pen tool. It's the same kind of line you created with the blow brush tool. So it depends on what you're working on. If you just wanted to have that brush, I mean that leaf, I'm going to take it large brush stroke and I'm just going to paint it around, fill it up, and it's going to create a shape for me. I can do anything I want. I can stroke, anything I need to. So what I would recommend to you is try to use together the tools. Pen tool, pencil tool, brush tool, blow brush tool. It always depends on what is your objective. Try to use them together. Okay, I'm going to have a reference image for a tree, a tropical tree.
You're recording it, right?
Yeah. I'm recording, so it's going to be on my YouTube after the class. So let me see a tropical tree. Bless you. I just need a reference. You know, I go with that bonsai. So I just copy, put it in my Illustrator file. I'm going to create a nice copy of the tree. First, I need a little brainstorming on my mind of what I'm going to do here. So probably I'm going to build the branches and the trunk with the blow brush tool. And I'm going to create a spray. I'm going to give you a demonstration using the spray tool for the leaves. It makes it much easier to create leaves with the spray tool. So first I just build the tree. I don't like to trace, but maybe now I'm going to trace. Let me create a new layer, log the photo, and I'm going with the, you know what, I'm going to start with the pencil tool. Start with the pencil tool. I'm going to add some branches. It's going to be a blue tree, looks like. So find a good reference image first, then we're going to turn it to a tree. If you remember, with the pencil tool, you can change your line work anytime. So I'm just over painting it, fixing up the lines. So we only need to have 3 different kind of trees today. So I'm playing around with the pencil tool first. It requires a little practice because it's not necessarily doing what you want sometimes. You see, my hand is always on the Control Z. It's not doing the changes I'm looking for. Okay. For deselect, so let's say I have that shape is selected and I wanted to draw the next one, but each time I pull a line is going to affect my artwork. So for deselect, you could go to the selection tool and you can click somewhere else, but I just hold on the command, that changes to the select tool and I click somewhere else. So my shape is already deselected. All right, so make sure you're dealing with shapes. Try to build up that tree by shapes, not just pulling lines. Try to build it up by shapes. What I'm doing here, try to add shapes, but that is going to help you later to add changes to your tree if you have to. And it's not going to be that many anchor points. If you just adding lines with the brush tool or with the pencil tool, it's going to be too many anchor points. Maybe the rest of the tree, I'm going to try the blow brush tool. With the blow brush tool, change the stroke size, the brush size. To change the size of the brush, you can double click on the brush icon and you can change the size here, but there is a universal key combination in the world of Adobe. It works in Photoshop, After Effects, and all other tools to change the size of brushes. You can use the bracket keys. The bracket keys are, I'm going to draw two bracket keys on the screen. Bracket key left and right. It's on the keyboard just right below that delete button. The left one decrease, the right one increase the size of the brush. So when I click on it, it changes the size of the brush. It works in Photoshop and Illustrator both. So I'm going with the blow brush tool, and I need a smaller brush because these branches are kind of smaller. So I'm going to just define a brush, and I'm going to start to paint with the blue. I'm going to paint the branches here. Bless you. And we know that the blow brush is going to melt together your line works. It's not going to be separated shapes. It's going to be one single piece. And I just keep adding to it. All right, I think I'm good with it. We don't need to go too much into the details. I think that detail is okay. And I'm going to create leaves. So let me show you a technique to use a tool. It's very unique in Illustrator. It's called the spray tool. It's down here, symbolsprayertool. Try it with me. It's kind of very complex. Try to do it together with me. If you click on the tool, you can see the main tool is a symbol sprayer tool. You can create any kind of shapes in Illustrator and you can spray it. And you can have an interaction with those sprayed objects. Here is a shifter tool. You can change the position of the of the sprayed elements, cruncher, sizer, spinner, stainer, screener. These are tools are going to affect your symbols. So just let's try it very quick. I'm going to change the size of the brush, right? Bracket key down. I'm going a little bit somewhere else, find the space, and I start spraying. Please select a symbol from the symbol panel. All right, panels, windows are down up here in the window menu. Go ahead and pick the symbols. Here's the symbols. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have a few, but we have just like everything, we have many libraries. So I go to the libraries, and I just keep looking for all kind of different brushes. I mean the symbols. You know what? Let me pick something makes sense. What if they have leaves? What if they have leaves? Yes, they have. All right, I'm gonna pick that leaf here, and I start spraying. And you see, I keep holding down the mouse and keep adding. And if you're done, you still can go back and you can spray, and it's adding to it. And you see how they interact with each other. It's a kind of pretty smart, very special tool in Illustrator. The objects, they have interaction. They pushing them around. Okay, it's okay, but it's still kind of fake. Let's pull out the spray tools and let's modify. This first tool is the symbol shifter tool. You can change the brush size, right? You can go left and right with the bracket tool, keys, and you can move them. You see, there is a little line attached to each leaves. These lines are showing the position, how they facing to the center. So with the shifter tool, you can change their position. You can move them around. The next one is the cruncher tool. Either moving them inside, close to each other, or if you hold on the Alt, it's doing the opposite. So it's moving them away. So you can create a nice randomness to the leaves. The next one is changing the size. So let's say you really want to make it random. You want some large leaves, hold on the Alt, it does the opposite. You want some small ones, big ones, and it starts looking like a real forest, like where not every leaf is the same size. But the leaves are still facing to the same direction. It's a kind of fake. So the next tool you can play with is a spinner tool. You can add a rotation. If you hold on the Alt, it does the opposite. It turns to the left. So maybe there is a little wind changing the direction of the leaves. The stainer tool, yeah, we need to pick a color. Let me pick a green. It's going to fade the objects. If you hold the Alt, it does the opposite. It's going to give back the saturation. So what it does is going to fade out your objects. I think it's only black and white, right? Even if I pick a color, it's going to be black and white because it's a stain tool. So you can either add saturation or you can desaturate the image. So desaturate, you just simply click, and the Alt is giving back desaturation. So with a few clicks, you can create a kind of realistic, random. I'm not saying leaves. I know these are leaves, but you can create anything is random. Anything is random. I'm going to show you one sample I did for another class earlier. Symbol screener tool, bless you, is going to add an opacity to your. If you hold on the Alt, it gives back the opacity. So you can add the opacity to your particles. That's the right word I would use, particles. It's like a particle system. And the last one is the symbol styler tool. You can pick a symbol. Let me pick that. Set the style for your graphic style. I'm sorry. We need a graphic styles. like everything, it has a style, it's a library. So in the graphic styles, I'm going to pick something, a graphic style. First. I did. Yeah. So when you click, that graphic style you choose is going to be added as a fill to your sprayed objects. What if I don't like these objects they offering for spraying? What if I want the same style? All right, I'm going to use the brush tool. I'm going to use the brush tool if I find it. If not, I'm just going to use the pencil tool, and I'm going to create one leaf. I'm going to create one leaf, and I'm going to define that one leaf as a spray object. Right? Try to keep it simple, because if the object is too complex, it's going to crash down your computer. So if you have like thousands of anchor points, the main elements of your design is the anchor point and the lines. If you have too many anchor points, then it's going to be too complex. And when it starts spraying it, it's going to add too many anchor points. It can crash down the computer. So try to keep it simple. You know what? I'm going to add the stem part to it. Let's say use a regular pen tool. So I'm just going to create one single leaf. I'm going to use as a spray object. All right, I think it is good enough. So I select the leaf together, and I'm going back to the symbols. And I'm going to create a new one, new symbol. It's that easy. Create a new symbol. I'm going to name it to Kolos is leaf. I think for now that is good enough. And as you see, it's already defined as a symbol here. So I created a leaf. It's ready to spray. I move it out from here. Let's go with a spray tool. Change the brush size. And I just start spraying with the leaf I just created. And I'm going to change the size. I'm just going to crunch them together. Maybe I'm adding more. You can keep adding. You can modify your sprayed object. I call it object because it's really one single object. It's like a group object. Adding a little randomity. Let's see what I'm doing here. You see, here's a leaf I designed, and it starts waving just like the wind is hitting the leaves. So I think we know everything. Go ahead, try to find 3 different type of trees and try to create a nice illustration. Let me finish the one here. It's already starts stocking. It's like getting a lot of leaves here. It's a lot of information for Illustrator. Just gonna keep slowing down. And I'm just gonna use the same group of leaves. I hold on the Alt for copy. I'm gonna create the next one. Next large area where I need the leaves. I'm just adding some extra pieces. Okay, let me work out the top part. If you hold on the Alt, that is going to erase. Oh yeah, start slowing down. So make sure you save your document. Make sure you save your document. I'm going to save to the desktop. Trees. I'm going to save it as an EPS. And make sure you hit on Command S every few minutes. It's kind of hard job for Illustrator to manage that many particles. I just don't want it to crash down. And make the other side. I'm going to flip it. Transform, reflect, vertical 90 degree perfect. So I just flip the leaves from the left side and I keep adding to it. Let me see what I did. I'm going to turn off the background. So here is the tree. Maybe I'm going to do some modifications, adding more leaves. I'm going to fix that few pieces here. I don't like that they have a gap. So I'm just going with the regular tools. I go with the direct selection tool and I'm going to fix those little gaps. Okay, what if I don't like the leaves? What if I just simply don't like it? What if I want to do changes? Yes, you can go back. You can double click on the symbol you created, and it's going to open up your document as a separate object, and you can do your changes. What if I wanted to turn to, I love pink. Go pink, good, but not that. Let's do the fill color. I want to turn it to pink. I think it's going to be a heavy work for Illustrator because it has to change everywhere, right? We have like a few thousand leaves now, and it have to recalculate the colors on every single piece. I hope it's not going to crash it down. I was careful. I did save the document before I did that step. Yeah, this little ball is just keep rolling. Is there any Imani? I need to sign the attendance sheet, please. Gyong Hian, please come over and sign it. Hassan Jiran? No. Anthony? No, Anthony. Natalia? No, Natalia. Melissa? I'm gonna have a few people I have to be wrong. Three is the maximum you can miss the class. So more than 3 is automatic withdrawn. And maximum half an hour late is accepted. Maximum half an hour. I think it's still too much. If you have a job and you keep late every day half an hour, you just have no job, I think. So if you're trying to imitate that kind of working environment, please try to be here in time. Whatever happens, the latest 6:30. Because if you keep late, you're just going to miss that lecture part, and you are not knowing what to do in the class, which is not good. It's kind of short, like 2 hours. All right, sounds it crashes down my Illustrator. Excellent. Really? Let me take a walk. Hoping, praying. See, I guess where we're going here. Oh, you left-handed. Okay, you see, you're drawing a new line. You're not changing that. It's kind of hard. You need to practice. You have to click on the line and pull the line, and then you
for the star. Sometimes.
Yeah, it's kind of random. I love better the brush tool. That is more. I think you can just change to the brush tool now. You can use the same line you draw with the pen tool or with the pencil tool, and you can just retouch it with the brush tool. Oh, you're doing almost the same, bonsai?
Yeah, I couldn't find any other interesting ones.
Okay.
At least for the first one, right? We have to do 3.
Yeah. We got the 3 different ones. Have a tropical, have a 4 season, and have something for high mountains, like pine. Are you playing with the spray tool? You can move out that whole toolbox. You can just click on the tool you need. Oh, that's pretty. Very nice. So you're building shapes and creating a tree. What kind of tree is that?
I was looking at these,
Oh yeah.
something like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
South.
Yeah, they're kind of
Yeah.
like whimsical, I think. Like, I don't know, they're like haunting in a way. Creepy, no?
Creepy. Good. Yeah, this is your classroom assignment. You have to turn in 3 trees today.
Okay.
What about you? Okay. Yeah. Try to do something simple for the tree. Don't go too much in depth. Do something simple. Or you know what? Let's change it to 1 tree. All right? I'm gonna change the assignment. Just do 1 tree. Let's have one something. I thought it's gonna be much quicker, but I always too optimistic. So let's change it to 1 single tree. All right, so just have 1 single one. We're never gonna finish. It looks like I'm never gonna finish because my computer just crashed out. Illustrator died. Great, force quit. Try it again. And if your screen is dark, you can change the light of the screen. Because I've seen many of you sitting with a very dark screen, and your eyes just keep working, trying to see the image. Change the light. On the top left on the keyboard, you have 2 keys. One on the second and the third buttons. You can change the light. You can light up your screen. I'm seeing many of you have a very dark screen. I'm not sure it's good for your eye. But it's your eye, so I can't tell you how you're looking at the screen. But I think. All right, let me see. My tree is back. My tree is back. And let me see if I can change that leaf. Because I don't like that when the computer is in charge. I want to be in charge. So I want to do what I was planning to do. Let me see that symbol I was working on. So I was planning to change it to pink. Right? Allow pink. And let me step back to the. All right, it works. So with 1 single click, I change the leaf. So I can change not only the color, I can change anything. I can replace it with another leaf if I want to. I can play a little bit longer with the leaves. I'm going to add a little rotation. Little shift. Change the size. I think I'm good with the tree I designed. I'm just going to add a background. Let me add a nice gradient. Let's save it before it crashes down. I think the pink was a mistake, so I'm just going to change it. I can change it anytime if it's not crashing down. Let's see how it works with the yellow. And let's see if it goes through. In the meantime, I'm going to look up. I had another class demonstration with the brush, with the spray tool. It turned out kind of interesting. Yeah, that was a bees. Looks like Illustrator died again. Yeah, when you do something is critical, when you know that could crash down Illustrator, always save your file first. So now I just simply going to force quit Illustrator. I'm gonna run it again, and I can go back to the where I was, where we're planning to adding colors to the leaves. It looks like it's too much power, too much work. Let me try again. So window, symbols. I want to turn the leaves to another color. Okay, try it again. Oh, good. So it looks like it's the first time it goes through. So here is it. I have a nice fall type 4-season tree with leaves. It's kind of surrealistic with those colors. I save it quick. And I had a student in my computer art class. He was working on an illustration with Illustrator. He tried to add bees, like the little bugs flying around in his illustration. And did I download it? Yeah, that's the other thing. I can't download in this classroom large files. I don't know why. They put a restriction on it, so I can't show you the Illustrator file. Actually, I can't show you anything. Okay, fantastic. Yeah, someone playing around with filters, I guess, in the server. Have fun. Thank you. It can't work. So that was I created a spray with the bees. And as you see, they flying around these little tiny objects here. So I was just playing with the spray tool. I changed the directions, I changed the size, and I create the illusion these little bees are flying through the holes. So with the spray tool, you can do a lot of magical, fantastic effects. Just keep in mind, you have to build first the object, just like I did here with the leaves, and then you can just keep adding them. So anytime you have little particles, even for hair, you can use the spray tool, or freckles, or rain, or wherever you have patterns. It's a great tool to work with. Bless you. So here is my tree. You can see the size of the file. 27 megabyte. It's a kind of large for an Illustrator file. Illustrator files are trying to be small. We're trying to keep the size always low, as less anchor points as you can. This is kind of okay. You know what? I'm going to apply some effects on the trunk. So select the pieces. I'm going to apply some effects. I'm trying to turn it to kind of like 3D. ish effect. I'm not sure what the extrude and beaver are going to do. So I apply an extrude effect, try to turn the trunk a little bit like 3D, like real trunk. Yeah, that is another effect it loves to crash Illustrator, the 3D extrude and bevel. Come on, Illustrator, come on. No, it just stopped. Fantastic. Ooh, that was great. Oh, really? Have to restart its Illustrator every 2 seconds? Seriously? Yeah, when you give something too hard to work on, you put the numbers too high, then that could crash down the software, just like I did it 3 times in 1 minute. Fantastic. Start it again. Well, I'm not a person who give it up easily, so I'm going to try it again. Maybe I try another kind of effect. Not the emboss, I mean not the 3D. Thank you. Let me see what the other claw does. It's going to be like a magical tree, glowing blue in the red forest. And maybe I'm going to duplicate these leaves. Another technique to crash down Illustrator. Let me save it. Thanks God, it's saved. Okay. And the one on the back, I'm going to apply some effects just to create the illusion of depth a little bit. Have a second layer of leaves behind. Maybe I'm just gonna change the opacity. Yeah, that makes. And let's have another one. So we have multiple layers of leaves now. Actually, I can play with the blending modes. Window, appearance. Where are you? Here's the appearance. Sorry, transparency. I'm going to play with the transparency. I'm going to change the blending mode. So I'm playing around with blending modes. So we can see a little bit the trees, the branches. Maybe we can see the leaves behind a little bit. I'm gonna make another copy. I'm gonna try some other. I'm gonna try to play with the blur effects. It's really slowing down now. Yeah, they don't have the motion blur in Illustrator. I wish it would have. Photoshop have the motion blur. Or maybe I just try a regular. It's gonna crash down it for sure, but you know, I save it first. I'm gonna try a radial blur. Trying to add that little motion to the leaves, like if the wind is hitting it a little bit. So blur, radial blur. I don't think it's gonna work out. It's really a hard effect. Put it high. And let's see what happens. Okay, it's kind of quick. It's too much. So blur, radial blur. You can create the illusion of motion. It's a Photoshop effect. It sounds like you can apply it to your Illustrator files. It's going to put your vectors into the motion. Maybe still too much. Maybe I just change the opacity of that layer. Put it on normal. And the beauty of Illustrator is that the effects are flexible. So let's say I don't like that blur effect I applied. If I go to the appearance, I can change the strength of the blur. So I just click on the blur effect here, and I'm going to put it down to like 4. So nothing is finished. You can go back and you can add changes. And I think I love it better now. Can you remember the reference image anymore? Let me see where I did it come from. Let's see that bonsai tree. I think that was bonsai tree. Yeah. So poor bonsai tree turned out like a magical blue tree with golden leaves in a red forest. I think I'm happy with that. So I'm just saving it. And of course, I have that Instagram size for almost everything. Even when I wake up, the plates on my table are Instagram size because I can post it later. So I'm just going to crop the page to the 1 by 1, I'm going to export it as a JPEG. Even the reposition is a big work for Illustrator now. So many information. Maybe I'm adding a little more black to the back. Let's play a little bit with the background. Okay, I think it's done. And I just save a JPEG and I'm done with my assignment. Export as. I'm going to save it as a JPEG. Magic tree. I'm gonna keep the file size large. Resolution 300. What if someone falls in love with my tree on Instagram and they're ordering a print for like $200,000? So I give a chance for printing it. So I'm going to save a large file. So I'm going to save a 300 ppi point per inch. It's a pretty large image. I put up the quality of the JPEG in the maximum. So it's going to be a pretty strong file. Let's see how it turns out in Photoshop. So the objectives for today, pencil tool, brush tool, blow brush tool, and a spray tool. We practice the usage of these tools. These are essential tools to do illustrations, to create images. Let me see what I created. Still kind of small, it's pixelated because the size of the document is small in Illustrator. So let me go back, artboard tool. I'm going to create what scale I need. Let me go with, I'll create a 3 feet by 3 feet document. That's gonna be big enough. I just group together my whole composition. And in Illustrator, the size really doesn't matter. I mean, what size of the document has. The size depends on the complexity of the file, how many anchor points, how many lines, shapes, and effects you have. The size really doesn't matter here. It doesn't matter if it's a US letter size or it's like too mile long. It's more about the complexity of the file. Illustrator, I have to recalculate everything, Gaussian blurs, transparencies. But I really wanted to create a large scale file. Because the one I have here is pretty small. It's like 4 by 3 inch. Accidentally I crop it with the artboard tool in Illustrator. Let's hope it's gonna work out. It's not gonna crash it down, but it's still working. If it's moving, it's doing something, that means it's haven't crashed. Okay, good. So I'm gonna save it. So it's a 3 feet by 3 feet large document. Bless you. Well, let me see what you guys doing. See the trees. Oh, that's cool. You use a spray tool?
Yes.
Yeah, the spray tool is, trust me, if you learn to use the spray tool, you can do the magic. You can do all kind of fantastic random particle systems. It's really cool. Okay, that's fine. It's pretty nice. You added you spray the leaves or you spray the branches together?
No, I didn't. It just happens to have a little bit of brown, so it looks like it's.
Oh.
Because I did the trunk in brown, but
Very cool.
that particular leaf has a little bit of brown, so it looks like it's attached.
Very good. And you draw the trunk with the brush tool?
Right.
With the brush tool. Okay.
No, the trunk I did with the
Pencil? Okay, but which tool in the Illustrator? Is the brush tool?
The brush.
That's the brush tool. Good. Here. Let me click because I can't believe what I'm seeing. You really recreated the same. Wow, that's nice. That's cool. That's really good. I wasn't sure first is the reference image or you just crop it or you build it. Very good. Right. What do you think about the spray tool?
Yeah, I like it. I'm trying to figure out, can you change the size of the spray?
Yeah, that was a bracket.
That's what. Oh.
2 brackets, that changes. Anything is brush, spray in the world of Adobe, not just Illustrator, but Photoshop, InDesign, all others. If you need to change the size of your brush, you have to go with those tools. You can change it in some other ways. If you double click on the spray tool, so let's say you, or on the brush, double click to see. You can change the size, or with the spray tool. But if you go with the bracket tool, it's not too dark screen for you? Sure?
how you love it?
Yeah.
All right.
It's,
I can't see it.
taken me a while.
This is how you like it, I know.
It's loading a lot, so it's different.
Okay, so you use the brush tool. Did you try that? That's the thing, when you join too many lines, that causes that. I would avoid. I would, for the contour, is a contour.
I mean, I tried to just fade it into the same color because the contour, they happen to be the same thing.
That's not too many lines.
No, it's not too many. It's just that when I don't know why you make shape or something, the inside lines are like thinner and then the outside is thick. I don't know why.
For that contour line, I would use
Like-
a blow brush.
I kind of marked it. I tried to go.
Did you save it? Keep saving it, but it's risky. You can crash.
I just kind of started knowing the stroke, but then it lowers every stroke. But
You don't need those strokes. The strokes are top of each other. It doesn't make sense.
No,
You
it's
can
not.
just-
I don't know why it's thicker, but it's not. I mean,
I can
I
see
wrote-
that. There are really also little strokes here. You can make that shape. It could be a shape. You see?
Oh, okay, no, it does that.
Probably you apply the stroke after.
Yeah, I think that's.
I would take one. I thought you were drawing multiple lines. And now I'm seeing you were drawing one line and you have like that.
Yeah,
Did you?
I guess. I mean, it's because of the brush.
Just
I
take
guess.
one. Let me see.
Just select it.
Double click. Shape.
Yeah, it like shows that it's under there. And then turn it to brush. I think it's because of the brush that I use.
Yeah, it's too complex.
So should I just restart it?
I mean, I have to see that. Now I'm seeing what you were doing. So you can't separate it?
Yeah, the only way I think is just back.
It's not a drop.
No, it's not there. I just like if you go here, that's live name. So I made a live name, so I can just color it in. That's the only way that
Listen,
I found.
I don't. You can play with that live frame.
Yeah.
That is not safe. It looks like it's kind of having too many angles. You see?
Yeah, it is. I think it's because of the brush that I use, and then when I made a live frame, it read all of those.
I would just use a regular brush.
Yeah. But
And
when
you can apply it.
when I use a regular brush, I turn the line into one of the library, and I think when I made it to live frame, it made the all the little thingies
And then use the brush.
So I think I just have to restart.
It looks pretty cool actually. That the blend effect inside. That was like. That was really cool. It's too complex here. It's gonna keep crashing and it's gonna stop your work. I would just draw like a simple line.
Yeah.
And you can still keep that as you can keep in the background. Once you spend that much time. It's hard to save this file.
Yeah. Now it's separated. I think it's like one spot where it selects everything. That's what it is. I think
It's not a line anymore, it's a shape. It has multiple little pieces inside. You see, does that make the fire heavier? Those pieces are really doesn't make any sense right now.
I think it just did that when I painted tonight. It just made all the.
I wonder if you can clean them out someday.
Yeah. I think I'll just. I mean, I'll just copy the shape and then
I
I'll
would.
draw it.
I didn't recommend to the live paint. If you want to do that, you have to do it on your own day because I don't
Yeah,
think it's a good idea.
Oh wow! Banana tree.
Yeah.
I love those things.
Yeah, that's so nice, right?
And we have a harvest festival every year in Brazil, in school. And
Yeah, wrapped in the.
and they use banana. No,
Plates.
they use it as a plate. The banana plates.
Yeah, it's nice, right?
It's so beautiful. I love it.
Fish in there.
I would use banana leaves as a plate everywhere.
Right?
It's just so
Biodegradable.
natural.
Yeah.
And it's disposable. I mean, you can just
Everywhere.
drop it anywhere, and it's good for the soil.
And how do they can create clothes?
Maybe sandals or something.
I think it's pretty big. Something that they take them to garbage cans. They're like almost covering the whole front.
Yeah.
And if you can find a way to attach them together, you can clothes on a nice suit. All right, so you just use the pencil tool. Okay. Try the variation. Try the regular brush tool, and try the blob brush. I think with the blob brush, it's kind of easier to that kind of. So the blob brush is. Let's say you have a area you want to fill it up, so you just keep painting. Even if you release, it's going to keep adding to the next time. So you can fill up that space with the color. I don't know which is.
And it will stay as one shape, kind of.
That's the point. You see? It's one shape. Even if the little pieces inside it, painted it over, it's just going to choose a brush. So let's say a larger one. So Jennifer, what is it called? It's called mountain trees.
Redwoods.
Red.
I did this effect for on a brush here, and I can't figure out how to get it back. When I do it over here now, it goes into black and white.
So you want to change the effect of the brushes?
Well,
here?
no, I want this back, and this, like whatever. See how I did that, and that. So now when I do it over here, it's turning black and white. I don't know how I did that. So I got that brush to do that. It was like a combination of that and something over here might have been changed.
No worries. We can try to move to graphic style. Save it. You save the graphic style, and whatever you do from this point, so you join your brush, it's outline, it's here. So you can save the effect you create. So you just select the object you want. So let's see what you want to save out of. Let's say you love that you want to create here. You just go to here to the graphic styles, create a new one, you're going to save that. So let's say I'm drawing a line here. I'm going to change that. Change the color you have to select.
Can you change the color of the black and white?
Sure. Or you want to add that variation. That's a different brush, I think.
I was using this brush, and then maybe Jen's. I know I use landscape, Jen's.
Use it. So that was the, let's say here's your black brush, right?
Okay.
I just click on the graphics tag. You want it to red or the green? I don't know. It's not need to.
Okay. So can I draw
With that style,
Yeah, like just
where you want to paint? On the tree? So you want to paint with the same style? With that style?
yeah, but like the strokes like that. So it's
So
like
this is the brush. So when you paint there, it's going to be that style.
okay.
If you change the style to green, you know, that's green.
Let's say I want to change like the whole color. Like I want to do a different color.
So you
A
select,
darker.
you select, and pick a color. Color panel, and you just pick a color. You just have to select them together and change the color. On the stroke. And if you accidentally click on the fill, you're going to have the fill color, which you don't want. Stroke color.
Okay. So basically I'm in this brush, this flash, and then I use
It's a brush tool.
this paintbrush tool, and I use these colors, and then I do this.
You can use those colors, so you just go to color palette and you just choose one.
And then what is this doing?
Illuminate style. Honestly, I have no idea. Probably those are just like effects. That's something. These are pre-defined effects. These are ratings. I think it's something you can change. Yeah, see? These are just simply pre-defined gradients. You see that with the gradient tool, with the gradient window, you can change that. So these are predefined. I wouldn't do nothing with this here. It's fine. Try to the brushes. Then at one point I will just move it away so I can see what I'm really thinking.
Let's see. Okay, so it's saved. I'm going to export it. I'm going to export it. Magic 3 large JPEG. Let me try the first option. 300 ppi. It work?
Let me see the other group. What's it going here? Oh, that's pretty. Oh, that chart looks like
Yeah.
a real. Oh, very good. From far it looks like really, really real. Very good.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay. So you recycled that leaf?
Mm-hmm. I like the way it looks, but like I'm over here, I like got into it and like messed with the transparency and like made it orange.
Okay. So you can change it, and also you can play with the graphic styles. Styles. Yeah. I think you can go to the library now. For some reason it didn't work with that. So with the graphic styles, the last one. Print screen tool is where you pick one of that and you can paint. It's going to have that color. Yeah. See?
Oh, wow.
So you can play with that too. If you don't like any of this here, you need to create a new. You just create an image and you just click on new and that just like spray it. Whatever. It only works with the graphics. The trunk is really good. It's really realistic. Love it. What's up here? What trees going to grow here?
Mhm.
What trees are growing here?
Well, this was supposed to be a plant, but it didn't work out, so. And then I started playing with this is called
Symbol sprayer? You don't like it? You said
No, I don't.
you don't like the sprayer too? Let me
No.
see what I can do about that. The symbol sprayer tool is very easy if you once you learn to use it. First I will zoom in a little bit so this is better. I'm going to spray somewhere else. Let's pick something simple, like a bug. Right? So you start spraying with a bug, and if you hold an Alt, taking away bugs. And hold on. Compare this work. Erasing the bug. See that in the other tools. I'm going to pop out the toolbox. You can change the brush size. You see, it's a kind of tiny now. It's just going to add a little push. So it's hardly do anything. You can change the brush size if you double click the diameter. You can change the brush size, but it's easier. You remember the two keys, right? So just make it bigger, the brush. Now it's going to be stronger. So you can move the tiny little spider so that you want. The next one is a cruncher. Two is not make them closer. So I think that was the issue. Your brush was small, right? When the brush is small, it's not doing anything. Like, you just get anything. But if you make the brush bigger, it's going to start working. I'm going to crunch now, and the Alt should be the opposite. Yeah, and the opposite. So just the brush size you have to play. See, you can play with the size. You want bigger ones, or hold on the Alt. You want smaller ones. Still not strong enough. Yeah, that's okay. See, I did intensity. Double click options, intensity. You can play around with this. You really can do magical stuff with the spray tool. I think it's a great tool. You can have rotation, hold on the other side. See, all is fine on your eye. I hope you don't have bad dreams. Now you can fade out the color, hold on Alt to expect that. Saturation. Yeah, basically that's it. Or create your own little creature. Create some here. Let's say this is your creation. Select, go to the symbol folder, symbols, and just click on a new. You see here are the symbols we have. You have a library with a lot of symbols, but I never like recycle things. I always do my own. But it's up to you. So I'm gonna create some random. You see it's saved here. Now I can spray with that little thing we have created. So I give it a spray tool. I'm going to spray it. Move down. Crunch down. There are tools you can play. It doesn't make sense now, it's abstract, but let's say you create a leaf. And you save it here, like we have many leaves already. Let's insert the leaf here. Spray tool. And just spraying. Spraying it. And let's say it's one side of the tree. I'm going to play with the size. If I spray, in that part is going to be small leaves and this part is large. So it's a kind of, it's a very smart that tool actually. It's
Very smart. Repeat from the left, right. On. See the leaves. Oh, good. Like a fractal. Nice, beautiful. That's it. Very good. So we have a nice randomity on the multiple pieces. Smart. Very good.
Yeah, when it's just
And you can play with the color. You can play with. Remember we have the stainer. Take the darker. You can have the nice randomity on the colors. If you hold on Alt, it's always like the opposite. It's like the back saturation.
I'm just trying to figure it out because it's even bigger and it's trying to figure it out smaller.
Alt is the opposite, and the brush size is the
Oh yeah, this.
so it's a little much bigger brush. Good. What's up, Sophia? Oh, cool. Starry Night.
Yeah, I use the
Blur effect.
and I use the
You love that blur effect.
I
Oh,
do,
you
I
love
like
that blur effect.
but I use the stand tool for the stars to like
Oh, the
move-
spray tool.
the spray tool
Yeah.
to move them around and stuff.
One day I had a demonstration. I just wanted to say that I made a hair,
That'd
and
be
it was so
interesting.
realistic. It was so realistic.
I want to see that because I
I-
can't picture it.
Yeah, I just don't have it anymore. But I'm gonna save it next time. But it looks really cool.
Do you think it's good enough to submit?
Oh yeah, it's more than enough. It's excellent. Yeah, very good. Well, everyone is doing very good. Let me turn off the recording because I already should have to turn it off earlier.